With Ethereum dominating the market over the last week, we've seen the altcoins start to pump. But what if I told you a crypto chart I'm going to show you in this video could predict their next move? This chart has been extremely accurate over the last 10 years, but I also do have good and bad news to share with you. So hold on tight, let's get into this video. There are a lot of bullish charts for altcoins, particularly this one here, which looks at total 3 minus USDT minus USDC. So it removes Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the top stable coins and looks at purely just altcoins, okay, including some top 10 altcoins. And to say this is a bullish chart is an understatement, okay? For the last 3.8 years, this chart has been creating an ascending triangle and a cup and handle you can see here in yellow, both bullish patterns. And if we take standard cup and handle procedures, we could roughly expect here around about a 4 trillion market cap for these group of coins. Right now, this is sitting at around 800 billion. So a give or take 5x from roughly these levels. And if I show you the RSI on this chart as well, it gets better because the RSI helps us determine whether a chart or a coin is overbought up here in the red, danger, or oversold down here in the green. At this top here and at this top here, we had both touched the red line here, a score of 70 on the RSI. Now, we're nowhere near that point right now, yet we're banging on the top trend line, which is a really, really good thing to say the least. Now, altcoins by themselves, this is now looking at others, so just removing the top 10 altcoins entirely. Similar patterns are playing out at the moment as the start of the previous alt season, where in 2019, we saw a pump here above the yellow line. The yellow line here is just a 1-year moving average, and the blue line is the others market cap. So we had a high, we had a second high, and in between those two highs, we had a little mini pump here. We also see the same things this cycle, a massive pump above the 1-year moving average, a little mini pump in between that and the second major pump. And as we've sort of come from these bottoms here, you can see here as well, you can see we've finally started to break away from that 1-year moving average, just like we did over here before that, I guess you could say, massive alt season. When alt season? When can I go out and call the local Lamborghini dealership and tell them to put down a deposit, all right, or an order for that new Revolto, all right? And the answer is, look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin here typically breaks its bear market high, which is the yellow line over here, right as we're about to experience a massive alt season, which is around this point right here for us in 2025, just about under 50 cents. And why I'm so confident in that is if you actually have a look at when you see Bitcoin dominance falling down here beneath the blue line, which is the 1-year moving average, when you see ETH here break above its all-time high, and when you see altcoins break above their all-time high, you actually see Dogecoin here in this orange line make one of the first moves out of any other altcoin. It almost works in with Ethereum as it moves up. It definitely doesn't move like an altcoin. And it's pretty interesting looking at Dogecoin's chart here because every time it makes one of these massive moves, like you can see here, here, and I'm going to expect likely here again soon, it's true alt season, right? You can see it does make some pretty decent sized moves within the bear market, but nothing compares to what it does in the actual true alt season over here when it breaks through again its bear market highs. So you can kind of almost think of this as phase 1 Bitcoin, phase 2 Ethereum, phase 3 Dogecoin, phase 4 large caps, phase 5 alt season. So just eye off this 50-cent mark right here because that might be a very important level as we begin to see some of those things begin to break down. Bitcoin dominance break down, ETH break all-time highs, then altcoins begin to break all-time highs. We may actually see Dogecoin point the true finger here for alt season. Now look, it's all well and good trying to listen to these videos, but it's a whole different ball game sometimes trying to apply that to a trade, making money, and even just reorganizing your altcoin positions. That's why Level Zero is now free, and you can get all of these channels and features you can see on your screen right now, just like our awesome trade ideas here. Andre gave one on Bitcoin that's been playing out perfectly. A really, really nice setup here as well from Chainlink from Steph. We also have Frankie here providing daily updates on the macro situation, giving us a really good perspective on how the macro is going. Do we have to be concerned? Are we still bullish? This is a really big thing many people in crypto are missing. This is just as a macro game as it is now a crypto game. So again, if you do want all of this for free, check out Level Zero. Links are down below, and I look forward to seeing you guys in there. Okay, so let's talk about when alt season could actually happen. Now, to understand alt season, many beginners will think alt season is just this massive big one push. All altcoins go up, all altcoins come down. That's wrong. if we can break apart alt season, we actually can see a bit of a picture here, and we can begin to realize when might be a good time to take profit, also buy, and so on and so forth. Now, this is where the good and the bad news comes in, because as you'll soon see, I'm expecting here some really short-term good returns. We should, be quite bullish. That's, of course, with a chart like this, I believe it'll break the highs here and make some good gains. But I do believe it will come with some bad news, also kind of mid to short term as well, before finally exploding. And that's kind of what this chart here shows. This chart's been pretty damn accurate over the last 11 years, actually. It's kind of called the Bitcoin season over here, where alts go down. So when this chart's going down, that's Bitcoin gaining strength. So Bitcoin season. When this chart goes up, generally speaking like this is alt season. This is alt season actually of 2017. This is alt season in this area here of 2021. Okay, so you can see we've kind of been in this like bearish blue season here, which again is Bitcoin season, for a long time. So since back here in terms of January 2022, we've been in Bitcoin season. Now, what's actually happened is very recently, we've broken out of this Bitcoin season here in this descending wedge. So we are looking, I think, quite good. What's actually I'm thinking of here is we're breaking up into this wave one. This wave one is the first bullish wave in this, I guess you could say, massive alt season. Again, there is different parts of alt season. It's not just one big push. So if we have a look here, again, in the very first alt season, we saw one massive push. This was very good for altcoins. We saw a drop, which means what actually happened here, because this is others versus Bitcoin, is we saw Bitcoin get a lot of strength over alts, which means alts actually do go down, okay, typically anyway. And so we saw a massive, what's called wave 3. This is the major push where most of the money is made in crypto. We saw a pull down for wave 4 and one last final push for wave 5. This last final push in wave 5 is usually where the small caps and micro caps will really have their massive blow off tops. Wave 3 here, this middle wave, is where most altcoins will go up, okay, have their all-time highs or a massive push. In 2021, the same thing as well. You can see we kind of broke out of this descending wedge into wave 1. That's actually where most coins went back to what's called their bear market high. Their bear market high is this point in time right here. On average, the top 80 coins in the top 100 are around down 36% from the bear market high right now. If you look over here at the smaller market cap coins, they're down an average of 81% from their bear market highs. And you can kind of see the distinction here between the top coins like ETH, the top 20, and just the top 100 coins in general. So these coins versus anything beneath rank basically, even rank 101 down. They're way down here on average. They're not really performing too well because they usually do well at the very end of the bull run, which is why they're mostly down right now a lot more than even, again, the top 80 coins. But I digress. What I'm trying to get at here, guys, is essentially we have these 5 waves. It's very healthy to have these pullbacks here, okay? And so what we're experiencing now is the start of wave 1. So what we can experience is likely a bullish push here in the short term, which would make sense considering we will experience this chart here, push up. We'll experience other charts as well, push up. ETH will probably break all-time highs. Bitcoin's dominance will probably start to fall. But what will happen is, I believe, wave 2 will come, and wave 2 might actually hit quite hard. I believe wave 2 could hit hard and pull us back down to this very important range here of 0.25, which some of you may know is an important line because we've hit this in the previous cycle, and it's kind of like looking at the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart as well, where we saw Ethereum pull all the way down, touch those range lows, and then begin shooting up once again. The same thing could happen here, but this is now altcoin. So we could see wave 1 push up, wave 2 come along again and pull us down like here, touching this point before moving higher. A few notable and well-respected people in the space, one of those is Ben Cohen, have also put out this theory, albeit in a different way. I'm not too sure if he's broken down it as I'm breaking it down now in these waves, but needless to say, this chart down here is actually this chart I showed you before. It's this exact same chart. The thing is, what I'm showing you here are the different colors. This again was wave 1 of 2021. This was wave 2. This was wave 3, wave 4, and this was actually wave 5 over here. So yes, very well. Again, we could be at the very start of wave 1 right here, where we actually go up to around this point and then begin to fall causing this to go up and then fall down, touch these lows before actually going into full-blown alt season. And it actually makes sense. A lot of people do believe we have to have a maximum pain in altcoins like this here before we have maximum gain, which is wave 3. And to put this back into perspective for you in terms of prices on our altcoins, this is Cardano down here. And again, I'm going to zoom into wave 2 in the previous cycle. And if you have a look, okay, wave 2 made Cardano, which as a matter of fact was, I believe, like a top 10, maybe top 20 altcoins. So like one of these top coins, it made it fall by quite a lot. Okay, so it was over here at the top of wave 1. You can see it broke through its bear market highs, okay, which is fantastic, which is what I expect it to happen this time as well. I expect us to break through or get around these levels yet again in wave 1. So even if you bought the exact top of your altcoins in December of 2024, you should be back in profit, unless, of course, you were buying the micro caps, unfortunately. But what I expect to happen here is, again, in wave 2, a huge drop. So we saw here a 51% drop in a top market cap coin back then. So that may happen. Again, that drop may still put you in profit if you're buying the equivalent of back down here, okay, for altcoins. Now, you'd still be in a profit, but a pretty large drop if you were FOMO buying the tops over here, okay, so be careful of that. And then a massive pump occurred here where you saw wave 3. So wave 3, if I actually draw you guys these lines, wave 3 occurred from here all the way through to here. And you can see that's where, Cardano went up a 15x. So keep this all in mind. And so what I'm doing personally is having a little bit of dry powder, all right, a little bit of cash on the sidelines for a possible fall to the 0.25 level over here. Now, again, this is all in relation to Bitcoin, right? This is alts falling in relation to Bitcoin. But as we know, Bitcoin acts as a hedge against risk for the crypto altcoins. So when Bitcoin falls down, alts kind of panic, people sell their alts, and some people buy Bitcoin instead. But again, Bitcoin falling will pull down alts even further. So it's pretty important we have a look at the global M2 as well, because a global M2 clearly shows a trend change here from this bullish momentum we've been experiencing. In around September 19, we can see we put in a high, a lower high, and a lower high, and a lower low, and a lower low. So a clear change in direction from bullish to bearish, kind of like what happened back over here as well. So this is at the exact same time, okay, we're expecting the next FOMC meeting, which means, given the fact that we are right now, at least in the position of a high chance they start cutting, what if they have a surprise stall, they don't cut, okay, and that causes the market to panic? Because I believe what we're seeing here is essentially ETH and alts pricing in a guaranteed rate cut in September. Alternatively, what could also be just as true is when this FOMC meeting happens, we could have a rate cut. However, right now, what we're experiencing is buy the rumor. A common thing that happens in markets is people buy with the possibility of the news being good, pricing in the news along this time. And then when the news eventually drops, when the basis point cut happens, that actually has negative results, because the news is already priced in. So we could see a temporary crash as we see a sell-off after people sell the news before a turnaround and a continuation to the upside. So this is all for you to consider. It might not happen. Maybe this dip in the M2 really isn't as bad as what this actually shows. It could definitely be that way. And I hope it's that way. So I'm not trying to scare you here. Please keep in mind, this is all just to ensure that you're well prepared for any circumstance coming forward. But we're now at the point where we probably are in wave 1, which means as this progresses, we have to start thinking about wave 2. Now, there will be a wave 3, which is really good. There will be a wave 5, which is even better, just as good. But we could be able to capitalize here on a short-term drop for altcoins. Now, alts falling 50% in September, October, again, just like we saw over here, with Cardano, it may actually put us in a spot where we're still actually in profit. If we're buying down around these levels, we're still in a profit at a 50% drop. But what if it falls a little bit lower? You know what I mean? So just keep this all in mind. Just food for thought. I'll keep you guys updated, of course, as well. So don't forget that. And make sure if you did make it this far into the video as well, you hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed with the bell turned on. These sort of videos you can't afford to miss as this market heats up. Very, very important. Take good care, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.